Picture this. It's April 2nd, 2005. Pope John Paul II is on his deathbed. The world watches, waiting for his final words. But what he says next will change everything. His last message isn't just a farewell, it's a blueprint for humanity's survival. In his dying moments, Pope John Paul II revealed a terrifying truth about our future, a truth so powerful it could reshape society as we know it. Want to know what he said? Stay tuned, because we're about to uncover the most important message of our time. You might think you know how Pope John Paul II spent his last moments. The official Vatican story paints a picture of peaceful reflection and prayer. But what if everything you've heard is wrong? According to the Vatican's official account, Pope John Paul II's final days were spent in quiet contemplation, surrounded by close confidants and medical staff. They claim he received the last rites, blessed the faithful from his window one last time, and peacefully passed away on April 2nd, 2005. It's a touching narrative of a beloved leader's dignified departure. But is it the whole truth? Eyewitness accounts from those inside the Vatican tell a very different story. Multiple sources report unprecedented levels of activity and tension within the papal apartments during the Pope's final week. One Vatican employee, speaking on condition of anonymity, described seeing a constant stream of high-ranking church officials and unfamiliar faces entering and exiting the Pope's chambers at all hours. This frenzied activity stands in stark contrast to the image of serene preparation portrayed by official statements. Even more intriguing are the reports of unusual security measures implemented during this time. The entire third floor of the Apostolic Palace, where the Pope's private apartments are located, was reportedly placed under strict lockdown. Vatican Swiss guards, normally stationed at building entrances, were positioned at every corridor leading to the Pope's rooms. Several longtime Vatican employees claim they were barred from areas they'd previously had unrestricted access to for decades. But why such extreme precautions? What could possibly require this level of secrecy in the Pope's final days? Vatican insiders hint at something far more significant than routine end-of-life preparations. One source, a former member of the Pope's personal security detail, cryptically stated, "There were moments when it felt like we were guarding something more valuable than the Pope himself." Adding to the mystery are conflicting accounts of the Pope's lucidity during this period. While official reports suggested he was barely conscious, several witnesses claimed to have seen John Paul II fully alert and engaged in intense discussions with visitors. A papal aide, speaking off the record, recounted overhearing fragments of conversation that seemed to be of monumental importance, though he couldn't make out the specifics. As the hours ticked down to John Paul II's passing, the atmosphere within the Vatican reportedly grew even more charged. Witnesses describe a palpable sense of urgency, as if racing against time to complete some critical task. One account tells of a flurry of document shredding in offices adjacent to the Pope's chambers, an odd activity if there was truly nothing to hide. So what really happened in Pope John Paul II's final days? What shocking revelation could have prompted such extraordinary measures? The truth is, we may never know the full extent of what transpired behind those heavily guarded doors. But one thing is clear: the Pope's last message was far more than a simple goodbye. In his final hours, John Paul II is said to have made a statement so profound, so earth-shattering, that it has the power to reshape our understanding of faith, humanity, and our very existence. What could this message be? What knowledge was so crucial that the Pope used his last breaths to share it? But hold on to your seats, because the real story is even more unbelievable. The Pope's mysterious final days are just the beginning of a web of secrets that goes deeper than anyone could have imagined. Are you ready to uncover the truth? As the world mourned Pope John Paul II, Vatican insiders were frantically compiling a massive secret dossier. This 220-page medical report contains information so sensitive it's been locked away for years. But now, the truth is finally coming to light. What could be so explosive about the Pope's health that it required this level of secrecy? The answer might just change everything you thought you knew about his final message. Throughout Pope John Paul II's declining years, the Vatican carefully controlled the narrative surrounding his health. Official statements painted a picture of a leader battling the natural effects of aging with grace and dignity. They spoke of minor ailments, routine checkups, and occasional hospital stays. The Pope's public appearances, though less frequent, were presented as evidence of his enduring spirit and commitment to his flock. But behind closed doors, a very different story was unfolding. The secret medical report reveals a stark contrast to the Vatican's public statements. Perhaps the most shocking revelation is the extent to which the Pope's Parkinson's disease was downplayed or even denied. While rumors had circulated for years about his trembling hands and difficulty speaking, Vatican officials repeatedly dismissed or minimized these concerns. The report, however, confirms that John Paul II had been battling advanced Parkinson's for far longer than anyone outside his inner circle knew. But Parkinson's was just the tip of the iceberg. The 220-page dossier details a cocktail of medications and treatments that were never disclosed to the public. It describes complex surgical procedures, including the installation of a breathing tube, that were far more invasive than what was reported at the time. The Pope's suffering, it seems, was far greater than the world was led to believe. Medical experts who have reviewed portions of the report express astonishment at the discrepancies between the Pope's public image and his actual condition. One neurologist, speaking on condition of anonymity, stated, "Based on the treatments described, it's clear that Pope John Paul II was in a much more dire state than was ever acknowledged. The level of care he was receiving suggests he was essentially incapacitated for months before his death." This raises a crucial question. Why go to such lengths to conceal the true nature of the Pope's health? The Vatican has long been known for its secrecy, but the elaborate measures taken in this case suggest something far beyond routine privacy concerns. Some speculate that maintaining the image of a strong, lucid leader was crucial for the Church's stability during a tumultuous time. Others wonder if there were political motivations, perhaps pressure from world leaders who feared the consequences of a papal transition. But there's a more chilling possibility. What if the secrecy surrounding the Pope's health was directly connected to the earth-shattering message he was trying to convey in his final days? Could his physical condition have been linked to the knowledge he was desperate to share? The report itself serves as an addendum to the Vatican's official diary, documenting the last days of John Paul II in painstaking detail. But even this document, hidden away for years, may not tell the whole story. Many still question the authenticity of the information contained within it. Could there be even deeper layers of secrecy we have yet to uncover? As we peel back the layers of this medical mystery, one thing becomes increasingly clear. The Vatican's long-standing secrecy surrounding the Pope's health has fueled widespread speculation and conspiracy theories. The true nature of his illness, the circumstances surrounding his death, and the reasons for such extreme measures of concealment all remain shrouded in mystery. But here's the most troubling question of all. Why are world leaders so desperate to hide Pope John Paul II's final message? What could he possibly have known that would warrant such an elaborate cover-up? The answer, my friends, goes far beyond mere matters of health. It touches on something so profound, so world-altering, that it threatens the very foundations of our society. And we're just beginning to scratch the surface. What if the Pope's most important message was hidden in plain sight? While the world focused on his declining health, Pope John Paul II was secretly penning a series of letters that would never see the light of day. These weren't just any letters, they contained revelations so profound, so earth-shattering, that the Vatican has gone to extraordinary lengths to keep them under wraps. But why? What terrifying truths about humanity's destiny did the Pope feel compelled to record in his final days? In the twilight of his life, as his body failed him, Pope John Paul II's mind remained sharp. Sources close to the pontiff reveal that he spent hours each day writing, pouring his most profound insights onto paper. These weren't official Vatican documents or public addresses, but deeply personal reflections on life, faith, and the challenges facing humanity. The existence of these letters has been carefully guarded, with only a handful of Vatican insiders aware of their contents. The efforts to keep these writings hidden have been nothing short of extraordinary. Reports suggest that immediately following the Pope's death, a team of trusted Vatican officials swooped in to secure his personal effects. The letters were reportedly sealed in a special archive, accessible only to a select few with the highest level of clearance. Some sources even claim that decoy documents were created to throw off potential leakers or investigators. But despite the Vatican's best efforts, whispers about the letter's contents have begun to circulate, and the accounts are wildly conflicting. One Vatican insider claims the letters contain dire warnings about the future of the Church and humanity as a whole. Another suggests they're filled with uplifting messages of hope and guidance for navigating the challenges of the 21st century. A third source insists the letters reveal long-held Vatican secrets, including information about miracles and apparitions that have never been made public. Religious experts around the world have been quick to speculate on what these mysterious writings might contain. Some believe Pope John Paul II, known for his devotion to the concept of divine mercy, may have received special revelations about God's plan for humanity. Others theorize that the letters might contain prophecies about future world events or insights into the nature of good and evil that could revolutionize theological understanding. The potential implications of these letters are staggering. Could they contain information that would shake the foundations of religious belief? Might they offer solutions to some of humanity's most pressing problems? Or perhaps they hold warnings about impending disasters that we're not yet prepared to face? As speculation runs rampant, the anticipation continues to build. What secret knowledge did Pope John Paul II possess about our future? The answer to this question could change everything we thought we knew about our world, our faith, and our destiny as a species. But here's the thing, the letters might not be the whole story. As we dig deeper into the mystery surrounding Pope John Paul II's final days, it becomes clear that he was desperate to communicate something of vital importance. And he didn't limit himself to the written word. In fact, the letters weren't the only way the Pope tried to convey his urgent message. What other methods did he employ in his race against time? And why were those around him so determined to silence him? Imagine being one of the most influential voices in the world, suddenly unable to speak. What would you do? This was the harrowing reality faced by Pope John Paul II in his final days. As his health rapidly declined, the once powerful voice of the Catholic Church was silenced by a tracheotomy. But was this medical procedure merely an attempt to prolong his life? Or was it part of a sinister plot to keep him from sharing a terrifying truth? The tracheotomy performed to help the Pope breathe had an unintended consequence. It robbed him of his ability to speak. For a man who had spent his life delivering powerful messages to millions, this loss was devastating. But even more shocking than his silence was what happened next. Despite his inability to speak, Pope John Paul II refused to be silenced. Eyewitnesses report a series of desperate attempts by the pontiff to communicate something of vital importance. His hands, once steady and strong, now moved in frantic gestures. His eyes, still sharp and alert, darted from person to person, silently pleading for understanding. One of the most poignant moments came when the Pope appeared at his hospital window, waving to the public below. This simple act, witnessed by thousands, took on new significance in light of his condition. Was he merely greeting the faithful, or was there a hidden message in his movements? On Palm Sunday, just days before his death, the Pope was seen holding an olive branch. To many, this was a powerful symbol of peace. But some close to the pontiff claimed there was more to this gesture than met the eye. Could this have been a final, desperate attempt to convey a message of urgent importance? Body language experts who have analyzed footage of the Pope's last public appearances paint a chilling picture. They note that his hand movements and facial expressions conveyed a sense of urgency and emotional depth that went far beyond what would be expected from a man simply saying goodbye. These non-verbal cues, they argue, were clear attempts to communicate his final messages that someone or something was trying to prevent him from sharing. But what could have been so important, so earth-shattering, that the Pope would fight against his own failing body to communicate it? What urgent warning for humanity was hidden in his final silent words? The official report detailing Pope John Paul II's final days emphasizes the emotional weight of his silence, stating that even without words, his presence and gestures spoke volumes to those around him. But this official narrative only deepens the mystery. If his message was so clear, why hasn't it been shared with the world? As we piece together the fragments of the Pope's final communication attempts, the hand gestures, the olive branch, the meaningful glances, a disturbing picture begins to emerge. It seems clear that Pope John Paul II was desperately trying to warn humanity about something so crucial, so terrifying, that even in his weakened state he fought with every fiber of his being to make it known. But even in silence, the Pope's message was louder than ever. The very fact that so much effort was made to keep him from speaking only underscores the importance of what he had to say. As we delve deeper into the mystery surrounding his final days, one question looms larger than all others. What earth-shattering truth did Pope John Paul II take to his grave? The Pope's inability to speak in his final days may have been just the beginning of a far more sinister silence. Did you know that even after his death, Pope John Paul II's words were still being manipulated? The story of his last Divine Mercy message is about to expose a web of deception that goes deeper than anyone could have imagined. Divine Mercy was a cornerstone of Pope John Paul II's papacy. This powerful message of God's endless forgiveness and love was central to his teachings throughout his life. In fact, John Paul II was so devoted to this concept that he established Divine Mercy Sunday as an official feast day in the Catholic Church. It's no coincidence, then, that his final prepared address was meant for this very occasion. But here's where things take a dark turn. On April 2nd, 2005, the day of Pope John Paul II's death, his prepared address for Divine Mercy Sunday was proclaimed to the world. At first glance, this seemed like a beautiful tribute, the Pope's unwavering faith shining through even in death. Many saw it as a manifestation of his lifelong mission to spread the message of God's mercy until his very last breath. However, as more details have come to light, a disturbing question has emerged. Was the message we heard truly the Pope's final words? Reports have surfaced suggesting that the original text of Pope John Paul II's Divine Mercy Sunday address differed significantly from the version that was publicly read. These discrepancies have sparked intense debate among theologians and Vatican watchers alike. The differences between the original text and what was actually proclaimed are not minor edits or simple clarifications. According to sources close to the Vatican, entire passages were removed or altered, fundamentally changing the tone and content of the Pope's final message. But what exactly was changed, and why? One of the most significant alterations appears to center around the Pope's interpretation of Christ's resurrection. In his original text, John Paul II reportedly described Christ's scars after his resurrection as glorious wounds, a powerful symbol of God's vast and saving love. This imagery, which the Pope saw as tangible proof of God's mercy, was notably absent from the public reading. Theological experts have been quick to weigh in on the significance of these changes. Many argue that the alterations go far beyond simple editorial decisions, suggesting a deliberate attempt to control the narrative surrounding the Pope's final teachings on divine mercy. But why would the Vatican want to suppress or alter this message? Some speculate that the original text contained warnings or prophecies that the church hierarchy found too controversial or alarming to release to the public. Others suggest that the Pope's final words may have challenged certain established doctrines, prompting a hasty cover-up. Whatever the reason, it's clear that someone within the Vatican believed this message was too dangerous to be heard in its original form. The suppression of Pope John Paul II's final divine mercy message raises troubling questions about the Vatican's commitment to transparency and truth. If they were willing to alter the last words of one of the most beloved popes in history, what else might they be hiding? What profound truths or dire warnings did the original message contain that were deemed too explosive for public consumption? As we dig deeper into this mystery, one thing becomes increasingly clear. The divine mercy message was just the tip of the iceberg. The Vatican's efforts to control Pope John Paul II's final words point to a much larger conspiracy, one that threatens to shake the very foundations of the Catholic Church, and perhaps even our understanding of faith itself. What other secrets lie buried in the Vatican's archives, waiting to be uncovered? While the world focused on his message of mercy, Pope John Paul II harbored a far more ominous prediction. Did this beloved pontiff foresee a catastrophe so devastating that it would alter the course of human history? The answer lies in his closely guarded private writings, and it's more shocking than anyone could have anticipated. Throughout his papacy, John Paul II was known for his messages of hope and peace. He often spoke about the future of humanity, emphasizing the importance of faith and moral values in shaping our world. But beneath these public statements lay a darker undercurrent, a series of prophecies that paint a chilling picture of what's to come. Newly uncovered evidence suggests that Pope John Paul II left behind a collection of private writings and conversations that contain startling predictions about our future. These prophecies, hidden from public view until now, speak of a coming global crisis that could shake the very foundations of our society. In these secret writings, the Pope reportedly warned of a time when humanity would face unprecedented challenges. He spoke of growing tensions between nations, widespread social unrest, and a moral decay that would threaten the fabric of civilization. But perhaps most alarming were his predictions about a catastrophic event that would force humanity to confront its own mortality on a global scale. What's truly unsettling is how accurately some of these prophecies seem to align with current world events. The Pope's warnings about rising geopolitical tensions echo the conflicts we see unfolding on the world stage today. His concerns about social unrest mirror the protests and civil upheavals that have become increasingly common across the globe. And his predictions about moral decay? One need only look at the headlines to see evidence of ethical crises in institutions ranging from government to business to the church itself. Religious and geopolitical experts who have analyzed these newly revealed prophecies are divided in their interpretations. Some see them as metaphorical warnings about the consequences of straying from moral and spiritual values. Others, however, view them as literal predictions of future events, a roadmap of the challenges humanity must face in the coming years. One Vatican sworn insider, speaking on condition of anonymity, stated, John Paul II's vision of the future was not one of doom, but of a critical juncture for humanity. He saw a time of great trial approaching, but also an opportunity for profound spiritual awakening. But the most alarming aspect of these prophecies may be what they suggest about our immediate future. According to those familiar with the Pope's private writings, some of his most dire warnings have yet to be fulfilled. These unfulfilled prophecies speak of a global crisis so severe that it would force humanity to reevaluate its place in the universe and its relationship with the divine. As we piece together the fragments of John Paul II's final message, a disturbing question emerges. How does the Pope's last message predict a coming global crisis? The answer, it seems, lies in his understanding of human nature and the cyclical patterns of history. His prophecies suggest that our current path, one of increasing secularization, moral relativism, and technological advancement untempered by ethical considerations, is leading us toward a catastrophic reckoning. But the true nature of this crisis is more shocking than anyone imagined. As we delve deeper into the Pope's hidden prophecies, we uncover a vision of the future that challenges not just our understanding of global events, but our very conception of reality itself. What did Pope John Paul II foresee that was so earth-shattering, so paradigm-shifting, that it had to be kept hidden from the world? The answer may change everything we thought we knew about our past, our present, and our future. You might think you know what God is like, but Pope John Paul II's last message will make you question everything. Hidden within his private letters is a theological bombshell that challenges 2,000 years of Catholic doctrine. What did the Pope discover about God that was so revolutionary, the Vatican has kept it under wraps until now? The answer could transform your understanding of religion forever. For centuries, the Catholic Church has taught that God is an all-powerful, all-knowing, and all-loving being. The traditional view portrays God as a divine judge, separating the righteous from the sinners, rewarding good deeds and punishing evil. This image of God has shaped not only Catholic theology, but has influenced countless other faiths and philosophies worldwide. But what if this fundamental understanding of God's nature is incomplete or even misguided? Pope John Paul II's final writings suggest a radical reimagining of the divine that could shake the very foundations of faith. In his last days, the Pope penned letters that reportedly contained revelations about God's divine plan for humanity. These weren't just minor theological adjustments, but profound insights that could revolutionize our relationship with the divine. One of the most striking aspects of John Paul II's final teachings was his emphasis on the glorious wounds of Christ. Far from seeing these as symbols of suffering or divine punishment, the Pope interpreted them as invitations to believe in God's infinite goodness. This perspective challenges the traditional view of God as a stern judge, instead painting a picture of a deity whose love transcends human understanding. The Pope's writings suggest that God's nature is far more complex and nuanced than we've been led to believe. His focus on divine mercy and forgiveness was so strong that he established Divine Mercy Sunday as an official feast in the Catholic Church. This emphasis on God's compassion and love, rather than judgment and punishment, represents a significant shift in theological thinking. But the implications of these revelations go far beyond Catholic doctrine. Religious leaders from various faiths have been grappling with the potential consequences of John Paul II's final message. Some see it as a threat to established religious hierarchies, while others view it as an opportunity for greater interfaith dialogue and understanding. One prominent rabbi, speaking on condition of anonymity, stated, If what we're hearing about Pope John Paul II's final writings is true, it could fundamentally change how we view our relationship with the divine. This isn't just a Catholic issue, it's a question that touches the core of all monotheistic religions. As we dig deeper into the Pope's final teachings, a picture emerges of a God who is less concerned with rules and judgment and more focused on love and transformation. John Paul II's writings suggest that God's plan for humanity is not about separating the worthy from the unworthy, but about guiding all of creation towards a state of divine union. But what forbidden truth about God did Pope John Paul II reveal at the end? The answer, it seems, lies in his understanding of God's unconditional love. The Pope's final message suggests that God's love is so vast, so all-encompassing, that it transcends our human concepts of justice and morality. This divine love, according to John Paul II, has the power to heal and transform even the most wounded and sinful aspects of our nature. This revelation, if fully embraced, could reshape not just Catholic theology, but the entire landscape of global religion. It challenges us to rethink our understanding of salvation, sin, and the very purpose of human existence. But the consequences of this truth are even more far-reaching than we might imagine. As we delve deeper into Pope John Paul II's final message, we begin to see that its implications extend far beyond the realm of theology, touching on the very nature of reality itself. As the world mourned Pope John Paul II, a sinister plot was unfolding behind Vatican walls. Whispers of document shredding, witness silencing, and elaborate disinformation campaigns began to surface. What dark secret could drive the Holy See to such desperate measures? The answer may shatter everything you thought you knew about the Church. When a pope passes away, there's a well-established set of protocols that guide the transition. Typically, this involves a period of mourning, careful preparation of the pope's body, and the organization of elaborate funeral rites. It's a solemn, reverent process that's been refined over centuries. But in the case of Pope John Paul II, something was very different. Reports began to emerge of highly unusual activities within the Vatican following John Paul II's death. The level of security around certain areas was suddenly and dramatically increased. Longtime Vatican employees found themselves barred from areas they'd had unrestricted access to for decades. It was as if the Holy See was going into lockdown. But why? Even more alarming were the rumors of document destruction. Multiple sources reported seeing an unprecedented amount of paper shredding in offices adjacent to the Pope's chambers. This frenzied activity continued well into the night, long after most of the Vatican staff had gone home. What could be so sensitive that it needed to be destroyed immediately after the Pope's passing? But the cover-up didn't stop there. Vatican insiders speak of an atmosphere of fear and secrecy that descended upon the Holy City. Witnesses to the Pope's final days were reportedly pressured to keep quiet about what they had seen and heard. Some even claimed they were threatened with excommunication if they spoke out. The message was clear: whatever happened in those last days was not meant for public consumption. Perhaps most disturbing of all were the reports of a sophisticated disinformation campaign. As the world clamored for news about the Pope's final moments, the Vatican seemed to be deliberately muddying the waters. Conflicting reports were released, timelines were altered, and key details were omitted or changed. It was as if someone was trying to rewrite history in real time. But what could possibly be so earth-shattering that it would warrant such extreme measures? The answer, it seems, lies in the Pope's final message. According to those who claim to have witnessed it, John Paul II's last words contained a revelation so profound, so potentially destabilizing, that it threatened to shake the foundations of not just the Catholic Church, but the entire global power structure. Some speculate that the Pope's message exposed a massive worldwide deception, one that goes far beyond matters of faith? Could it be that John Paul II, in his final moments, unveiled a truth so dangerous that the powers that be would stop at nothing to keep it hidden? As we peel back the layers of this Vatican cover-up, one thing becomes increasingly clear. The truth about Pope John Paul II's final message is far more explosive than anyone could have imagined. It challenges not just our understanding of faith, but our very perception of reality itself. But here's the thing. No matter how hard they try, the truth cannot remain hidden forever. As more insiders come forward and more evidence comes to light, we inch ever closer to uncovering the full extent of Pope John Paul II's earth-shattering revelation. And when that day comes, the world as we know it may never be the same again. Just when you thought you understood the magnitude of this cover-up, we're about to reveal the most mind-bending part of all. Pope John Paul II's last words weren't just a spiritual message, they were a warning about a truth so dangerous, so earth-shattering, that powerful forces would stop at nothing to keep it hidden. But now, that truth is about to be exposed, and trust me, it's more terrifying than you could ever imagine. We've journeyed through the Pope's mysterious final days, uncovered the hidden truth about his health, and exposed the Vatican's desperate attempts to suppress his message. We've seen how John Paul II fought against his own failing body to communicate something of vital importance. But what exactly was he trying to tell us? The answer, it turns out, is both simpler and more profound than anyone could have anticipated. At the core of Pope John Paul II's final message lies a revolutionary understanding of divine mercy, one that has the power to transform not just the Catholic Church, but the entire world. In his last moments, the Pope revealed that God's love and forgiveness are far more expansive and unconditional than we've ever been taught to believe. He spoke of a divine plan for humanity that transcends our limited understanding of justice and morality. This wasn't just a minor theological adjustment, it was a complete paradigm shift in how we relate to the divine and to each other. John Paul II's final revelation suggests that the path to global peace and reconciliation lies not in judgment or punishment, but in radical forgiveness and unconditional love. He believed that this understanding of divine mercy could heal the deepest wounds of our society, from personal conflicts to international disputes. The implications of this message are staggering. If fully embraced, it could revolutionize our approach to conflict resolution, criminal justice, and international relations. Imagine a world where forgiveness and understanding take precedence over retribution and punishment. A world where even the most seemingly unforgivable acts are met with compassion and an opportunity for redemption. But the consequences don't stop there. The Pope's message challenges the very foundations of religious and political power structures. If God's love and forgiveness are truly unconditional, what becomes of the traditional role of religious institutions as arbiters of morality? How would this shift our understanding of sin, salvation, and the purpose of human existence? This is the life-changing secret Pope John Paul II entrusted to humanity in his final moments. A message of hope, yes, but also a call to radical action. He was urging us to reimagine our world, to build a society based on the principles of divine mercy. So what do we do with this information? How do we process a truth that challenges everything we thought we knew? The answer, according to John Paul II's teachings, is to start with ourselves, to practice forgiveness in our own lives, to approach others with compassion and understanding, and to work towards a more merciful society. This revelation isn't just about changing our beliefs, it's about changing our actions. It's a call to live out the principles of divine mercy in our daily lives, to be agents of transformation in our communities and in the world at large. The truth Pope John Paul II fought so hard to share is now in our hands. What we do with it is up to us. Will we embrace this radical vision of love and forgiveness? Or will we allow it to be buried once again by those who fear its transformative power? The choice and the responsibility is ours. The world you woke up in today is not the same world you'll go to sleep in tonight. Pope John Paul II's message of divine mercy has the power to transform our lives and society. His call for radical forgiveness and unconditional love challenges us to rethink how we treat ourselves and others. Now that you know the truth, what will you do with it? Will you embrace this vision of compassion and understanding in your daily life? Can you find ways to spread awareness of these teachings and help foster a more merciful world? Remember, knowledge is power, but only if you use it. The choice to live out these principles and be an agent of positive change is in your hands. The future Pope John Paul II envisioned is possible if we have the courage to make it a reality.